There was a habit I did not understand for many years. Every time I left home, my mother stood at the door. She did not say anything. She did not call me back. She just stood there, one hand holding the old wooden door frame, eyes following me as I walked down the small road in front of our house. I waved. Then I left. I did not look back. Back then, I thought it was just something she did, like the way she drank tea every morning before anyone else woke up, like the way she swept the yard while the sky was still gray and quiet. I noticed it, but I never stopped to think about it. Now I understand. But some things, when you finally understand them, you can only sit quietly and remember. You cannot go back and say anything to that person, not because they are gone, but because the time has passed, and you did not know to hold on to it when you had it. My name is Sarah. I am 28 years old. I work as an accountant in the city. I live in a small room near my office. The walls are white. There is one window that looks out at the building next door. In the morning, I make instant coffee and drink it standing up. Then I go to work. I eat a packed lunch at my desk every day. Rice and one dish from the shop downstairs. I eat quickly. Then I go back to work. In the evening, sometimes I go out with friends. Sometimes I come home, lie on my bed, and look at my phone until I fall asleep. And sometimes, not often enough, I remember that there is someone back home waiting for me to call. I tell myself I will call tomorrow. I am tired tonight. Then tomorrow comes. My mother's name is Carol. She is 62 years old. She lives alone in an old tile roof house in the countryside. The house has 3 rooms and a yard with a guava tree in the corner. The gate is green metal, the paint is peeling now, but my mother still keeps it clean. Every morning she wakes up before the sun. She drives to the farmer's market on Saturday mornings to sell whatever is growing in her garden that week: tomatoes, green beans, sometimes flowers. She knows all the other sellers by name. In the evening she comes home. She lights the stove. She cooks rice for one person. She does not complain about this. She has never called me to say, "There is too much quiet in this house." She has never said, "I am tired of eating alone." I know about those evenings because of one small thing. One time I came home to visit, and before dinner I looked into the rice pot. She had cooked very little, just enough for one bowl. When she saw me looking, she said nothing. She just went to the cupboard and took out more rice to add. That was all, but I remembered it. When I was small, every morning I walked to school, and every morning my mother stood at the door and watched me go. Every single day. The sky was still dark when she got up. I could hear her in the kitchen, the sound of the lid on the pot, water running, the soft knock of a wooden spoon. The smell of rice cooking and wood smoke came out from under the kitchen door and spread across the cold morning air. Then I would put on my school bag and come out to the yard, and she would be there, standing in the doorway, one hand on the frame, just watching. I did not understand it. My friends had mothers who talked a lot at the door. Put on your jacket, don't run on the road, come straight home after school. Their mothers stood there and gave instructions and worried out loud. My mother said nothing. She just stood and watched me go. I thought it was strange. I thought maybe she did not know what to say. I thought she was quiet because she had nothing to tell me. One afternoon, it was rainy season. I was maybe 10 years old. I came home later than usual. I had stayed at a friend's house to wait for the rain to slow down, but it did not slow down, so I walked home in it anyway. By the time I pushed open our gate, it was dark. The road was full of puddles. My school shoes were soaked through, and there she was, still standing at the door. Her shirt was damp at the shoulder, where the wind had pushed the rain in under the porch roof. She had been standing there a long time. I asked her why she was still there. She looked at me for a moment. Then she said, "I knew you would come home. That was all." She turned and went inside. She put dry clothes on the chair near the stove for me. She put rice in a bowl and set it on the table. She did not say anything else about it. I changed my clothes and ate and did my homework and went to sleep. But I remembered what she said. "I knew you would come home." I carried that sentence with me, without knowing it. I did not understand it then, but it stayed. I grew up. I went further away. First the city for university, 4 years of living in a dormitory room with 2 other girls, studying, going to class, learning how to cook rice on a small electric cooker. Then I stayed for work. My first job, then a better one, then the small white room near my office. Each time I came home to visit, I stayed a few days and then left again. My backpack was the same blue color as when I was small, just a bigger size now with more inside it, and she still stood at the door, one hand on the frame, eyes following me down the road. I waved. Then I left. I did not look back. Those years, I told myself I was busy. And some of it was real. Work came early and stayed late. There were reports to finish and numbers to check and meetings that ran long. The city had a way of filling every hour if you let it, and I let it. But the truth is, some of it was not about being busy. Some of it was just that I did not think. I did not stop and ask myself, when did she last hear my voice? When did I last sit with her at that small table and talk about something real? I called her sometimes, not often enough, and when I did call, she always asked the same 3 questions. Are you eating well? Are you warm enough? Is work going well? I said yes to all 3. She seemed satisfied. We talked for a few minutes. Then we said goodbye. She never said, "I miss you." She never said, "I wish you would come home more." She never said anything that would make me feel I had done something wrong. So I thought she was fine. I thought she did not need me to hurry back. One Thanksgiving, I promised to come home. I had said it 2 months before, so I was sure I would do it. Then in December, my company had a big project, and people were asked to stay and finish it through the holiday. I sent her a message. "I am so sorry. I cannot come this year. I will come in the summer." She replied, "It is fine. Focus on your work. I will make apple pie and save some for you." She mailed the apple pie in a box with ice packs. It arrived 2 days later, wrapped carefully in foil and then in paper. I ate it alone in my room and did not call to tell her it had arrived. The summer came. I did not go home. Something else had come up. I cannot remember now what it was. The next Thanksgiving, I came home for 2 days. I arrived on Thursday and left on Saturday morning. She stood at the door when I left. I waved from the end of the road. I got on the bus. I told myself, I will come again soon. I did not come again for 7 months. Then one evening in October, my phone rang. It was Aunt Mary, the neighbor whose house is just past the old mango tree at the corner of our road. I had known her my whole life. She never called me. She said, "Sarah, your mother fell. It is not serious. She is home. She is awake, but her knee is hurt and she cannot stand well. Can you come?" I was on a bus before 10 o'clock that night. I sat by the window in the dark and watched the city lights get smaller and then disappear. Then there was just road and trees and the occasional light from a house far back in the fields. I held my phone, but I did not call her. I did not know what to say. I just looked out the window. When I walked into the house, she was sitting on the bed. Her leg was wrapped in white bandage from the knee down. Her back rested against the wall. She looked up at me right away and smiled. She said, "It is fine. Don't worry. I just slipped on the wet step outside. I can still stand by myself." She looked fine. She was sitting up. She was talking. But after she said that, her eyes moved away from me. She looked toward the door. That door. The old wooden step just outside it. The door frame she had held with one hand for 30 years. She looked at it for a long moment. Her face was quiet. I could not read it. Then she looked back at me and smiled again. The doctor came the next morning. He said her knee had an old injury that the fall had made worse. She would need to rest for many weeks. She could not walk far anymore, not the 20 minutes to the market, not even to the gate and back without stopping to rest. She could not stand for long. She needed to be careful every day now. Be careful on wet floors. Be careful on stairs. Be careful on that step outside the door. That night I lay in my old room and could not sleep. The room was exactly the same as when I was a child. The wooden desk in the corner, the old paper calendar on the wall, still showing a month from 3 years ago, a picture of a mountain lake above the dates. The ceiling had the same small brown stain near the light that had been there since I was in primary school. And the smell. Wood and smoke from the kitchen, and the faint sweetness of the guava tree outside. I have tried to describe that smell to people in the city. I cannot. It is only in that house. It is only home. I lay there and thought about all the times I had said, "I will come soon. I will come in the summer. I will come after this project is done." I could not sleep for a long time. The next morning, I got up early and made rice porridge with ginger, the kind she used to make for me when I was sick. She sat at the small table in the kitchen and ate slowly. The morning light came in through the window above the sink, pale and thin. She asked about my work. I told her not the short version I usually gave. Not just fine, busy, nothing new. I told her about the office, about my manager who was kind and my coworker who was difficult, about a big report I had spent 3 weeks on. She listened to all of it. She asked questions. She asked what kind of report, what the numbers were for, whether the difficult coworker had always been that way or only recently. I had not expected her to ask those questions. I realized I had never given her the chance. That afternoon she slept. I stayed in her room and tidied quietly. lined up the medicine bottles on the windowsill, folded a blanket at the foot of the bed, straightened the things on her small bedside table. Then I opened the drawer in that table. I was looking for the jar of tiger balm to rub on her knee later. Inside the drawer there was a folded piece of school paper, the kind with small green squares, the kind children use for math exercises. The paper was soft from being handled many times. The corners were yellow. My mother had written on it in her small, careful handwriting, the handwriting I recognized from the notes she used to put in my school bag when I was young. I unfolded it and read. It was a list. Each line was a day when Sarah left. The 7th of January. Sarah left. 47 days. The 15th of March. Sarah left. 21 days. The 28th of August. Sarah left. 112 days. The 3rd of February. Sarah left. Blank. The 19th of June. Sarah left. Blank. Next to each date, a number. The number of days before Sarah came home again. Some numbers were large. 63, 88, 112, and some lines had no number, just the date, and then nothing. I looked at those empty lines. I looked at them for a long time. I knew what they were. Those were the times I had promised to come home and did not come. The times she had waited and could not write a number because I never told her when. She had not written anything in the empty space. No question mark, no words, just blank. I sat down on the floor. The paper was still in my hands. The drawer was still open. The jar of tiger balm was right there inside it, but I had forgotten about it. I did not cry right away. I just read each line, each date, each number, and each empty space. It was like holding a small calendar she had kept only for one thing. Not for work, not for the market or the seasons or anything else. Just for the days her daughter left and the days her daughter came back. 47 days. 21 days. 112 days. And then I understood something she had never once said to me out loud. She did not stand at the door out of habit. She was not standing there because she did not know what else to do. She stood there to look at me a little longer, to hold the picture of me walking away the blue backpack, the road, the way I moved to keep that picture in her eyes for as long as she could, because she knew that the moment I turned at the corner and disappeared, she would have to start counting. Day 1, Day 2, Day 47. She never said, "I miss you." She just stood at the door and watched me go, and that was how she said it. Every single time. I sat on the floor of her room for a long time. Outside the window, the afternoon light was turning orange and soft. A bird called somewhere on the roof. The wind came in and brought the smell of wet grass and earth from the garden. Then I folded the paper slowly, along its old creases. The creases were deep. She had folded and unfolded it many times. I put it back in the drawer, same spot, same way. I did not tell her I had found it. I did not know what to say. There were no words that would have been enough. No sorry could give back a single one of those days she had counted alone. But I stayed. Not 2 days like I had planned. I stayed a full week. Then I called my office, and asked to work from home for a while longer. They said yes. I stayed another week after that. Every morning I made breakfast, porridge, or eggs, or the sticky rice she liked with peanuts. I put it on the table, and we sat together. I did not eat quickly. I did not look at my phone. Every evening I sat beside her bed after dinner and talked. About work, about friends, about things that happened during the day. Small things, ordinary things, the kind I had never thought to share before because I thought they were too small to bother her with. She listened to all of it. Sometimes she asked questions. Sometimes she just sat quietly and looked at me with an expression I can only describe as full, like she was storing it up, like she was making something to keep. One night before she slept, she said, "It is good to have you here." She said it simply. She was already lying down, eyes half closed. She said it the way she might say the weather is nice today, but I sat with that sentence after she fell asleep. I sat with it for a long time. One morning she said, "Can you help me walk to the door?" I held her arm. She was slow. One step, then a pause, then one more. She held my arm, then reached for the wall, then the door frame. And then she was there standing on the wooden step outside the door, outside for the first time since she fell. The morning air was cool. The guava tree in the yard was bright in the early light, the leaves still wet from the night before. A car went past slowly on the road outside the gate. She looked at the road, the trees on each side, the sky, pale blue and wide. I stood next to her and said nothing. She said nothing. The sun was just coming up over the rooftops across the road. It fell in a long, warm line across the wooden step and across our feet. She stood there, a long time. Then she turned and looked at me. She smiled, not a big smile, a quiet one. The kind that does not need anything added to it. I smiled back. We just stood there together in the morning light, looking out at the road, not saying anything, not needing to. Now, every time I leave home, I walk more slowly. I put my backpack on. I step down from the door. I walk out through the green gate. And when I reach the corner, the place where the road bends and the house disappears behind the mango tree, I stop. I turn around and look back. My mother is still at the door. Her legs are not as strong as before. She has to hold the door frame to stand, but she is there, looking at me. Her hand raised a little, ready. I raise my hand. She raises hers. We wave to each other across the length of the road. Then I turn and go, and she stays. And I know that somewhere in her house, in the drawer beside her bed, there is a piece of paper. And she will pick it up tonight. And she will write today's date. And she will start counting again. But now I know she is counting. And that changes everything. I no longer think it is a strange habit. She was not trying to hold me there. She never tried to stop me from going. She just wanted to look a little longer, so the picture of me would stay clear in her mind through all the days of waiting. She stood at the door. She always did. Maybe there is someone in your life who does something small like that. Something quiet, something repeated, something you have walked past so many times you stopped seeing it. You still have time to look. Turn around. Really look. She stood at the door. She always did.